and gals, Never here from Drake Queen Gaming, and something bound toward the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Beasts of the Thorns. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go! Right there, okay. That's awesome, offering to join the Fraternity, do nothing but first make a decision. Yeah. I'll do that. All I can do is wait for Chris to cross over on his own. It's something that has haunted him for so many years, and he has to make the decision himself. The wait was long. I could feel Chris's agony as he anxiously changed positions. I was praying and cheering for him. Finally, Amora tapped Chris on the shoulder and left the room. Shortly afterward, he returned with the hyena secretary and brought his documents clipped to a brass writing pad with foil stamped titles. That's 3 applications for membership, one of which has been signed by Amora. Chris looked at Amora with a mixture of surprise, gratitude, and apology. He then signed his own application. I hastily signed with my full name on the 3rd blank document, and Chris felt too guilty to look me in the eye. Well, the boat's already on, at least for all 3 of us. The friends didn't seem to be in a joking mood. I saw the hyena bring in 2 books and give them to Chris. One was a fraternity journal, a record of Nud's time as president. He gave us special permission to keep copies. It was a courtesy that had never been extended before. And then the hyena secretary emphasized with displeasure that he didn't know how many rules had been broken. The other book, of which you can't keep a copy, is a family record from Baskerville, pulled from the Central Library archives. Please note that this book is supposed to be for Baskerville use only, so try to keep it a secret to avoid unnecessary trouble. Chris mindlessly put the books away in his carry-on bag. I used to work in a library, and this particular family journal can't be pulled from the library's collection in a day or 2. It takes at least a week's worth of appointments. I'm afraid that he's been plotting to have Chris join the fraternity ever since he saw his picture on the initiation list. After all, anyone can see that Chris is related to Nud by blood. But I think Ostrom should have deduced that the 2 were more than mere relatives, as evidenced by his pulling out the Baskerville family journal, something common sense would have made Chris eager to see. I had the urge to punch that wolf in the nose. No one can count on my friends like that. As I was mentally beating up a wolf that in reality couldn't possibly hurt a hair on his head, I was interrupted by the sound of an uninvited voice coming through the door. The hyena sighed exaggeratedly. The president arranged a coach for you guys for the big hunt. He's in the same grade as you. Before we finished speaking, a huge bear pushed its way through the doorway and happily accosted us. Hello, fellas. You're the newcomers to the spotlight, aren't you? You're looking good, aren't you? I'm Bjorn, and I'm going to be your coach for the big hunt, so ask me anything. Are all bears called Bjorn now? What is this convention? All that was heard was the hyenas laughing in the most polite manner and taunting him unmercifully in the face of the huge bear. It was almost twice his height. Ha! Bjorn, are you kidding me? Benjamin, changing your name won't turn you into a bear. Shut up, Darwin! My new name was approved by the court. This is my official legal name. Darwin completely ignored Bjorn's protest and continued to delve into the bear's den. Do you guys even know this guy isn't a bear at all? He's far from it. He's a humanoid creature, a brown elf disguised as a bear. People who don't know would think he's some sort of bear monster. You should see his true form. It's probably only this big. Darwin gestured at his waist level. In the olden days, all you little brats knew is how to please humans, and now you're posing as bear monsters for the wild hunt. And you've changed your name to Bjorn? Ha! For a moment, I thought Bjorn was going to be furious that this trick had been busted, but all I saw was a bear grinning in disbelief and pointing confidently at himself with his thumb. I, Bjorn, ranked 2nd in Rangers. You, Darwin, unranked hunter. Darwin has no problem fighting back. Ha! Impressive, isn't it? It seems like someone who's always hovering around the passing grade, often seeking help from the president, right? Moreover, I've already secured a recommendation letter, so where's the recommender for this 2nd-place person? I'm so outstanding, I'll definitely get it sooner or later, right? Bjorn winked at us, truly a creature with strong mental resilience. If your grades didn't suck, you'd have graduated sooner or later, right? Then Darwin turned to us. I'll leave the brownie in your hands. I'll go back and wait for Ostrom. Maybe he'll deliver some real work for me. The hyena secretary left a little sadly. Bjorn doesn't wait for Darwin to leave and reintroduces himself in a cheerful tone. As mentioned, I am your instructor, and although I specialize in the position of ranger, I'm also able to instruct hunters. Our greatest range at Huntsman, Ostrom, has had a busy schedule. So, it is usually a few of our members with good hunts who serve as instructors. You know how the great hunt works, don't you? Bjorn scanned the three of us. I was the only one paying attention to him. Amor and Chris were in a very bad mood. Amor had turned his face away from me. He didn't want me to see his expression, and Chris was clenching his fists hard because he was overly self-conscious. Oh, I think it's getting late today, so maybe we'll make another appointment tomorrow. Let's exchange communications. A bear who knows how to read faces. I glanced out the window at the bright sunlight, ready to exchange phone numbers with Bjorn. No, let's get started today. Chris stated firmly, while Amor, who had been avoiding eye contact, sighed and turned his face towards me. Hess, make the decision. How am I supposed to know what to do? It seems like all the decisions I've made today have been wrong, I'm thinking gloomily. Isn't it a little cruel to ask a headless man to think about judgment? Before I finished, Chris and Amor were laughing at me, which was a good sign, so I plucked up the courage to continue. I think it might be a good idea to start the day on a lighter note, given that we're a bit tired and it's getting late. Sure, we can start with the introductory preparations. It won't take long. Bjorn tactfully agreed with me. Come with me then, the facilities are in the basement. The air conditioning in the basement takes a while to work. So instead of using the training room right after class, we'll turn on the air conditioning and let it run on its own, then go to the mead hall and sit down. The basement can be quite stuffy without adequate ventilation. Bjorn led us to the basement. Unlike Ostrom, Bjorn had a good understanding of architectural structures, perhaps due to being a brownie. He always managed to guide us through what seemed like secret passages. Seeing his large figure suddenly disappear around a corner, one couldn't help but admire his agility. After 2 turns, we reached the basement, much closer than expected, as if it were right next to the room we were just in. The basement air hit us with a chill. During Ostrom's tour, the basement had been unlit, so we couldn't gauge its size. Now, with the lights on, we could see it was quite spacious. There was a whole wall for climbing, a range of gym equipment, and a soft floor for yoga. Bjorn led us past various equipment towards a heavily secured door. He brushed his palm over the identification system, unlocking the staircase leading downwards. The staircase was long, about 3 stories in length, and it led us to a vast concrete space. The air here was even colder, and our footsteps echoed in the emptiness. A time-worn brass machine sits in the center of the room, looking dated but maintained to a bright shine. The polished and smooth concrete floor reflects its reflection and has a church-like atmosphere. A resonance clock? Huh, you actually know about it. I didn't think that the frame of this artifact is known to even our compatriots outside the country. No, someone mentioned this artifact to me a little earlier. Yes, it is our Brotherhood's most important possession. A resonating bell made by Thomas, the dragon of entropic spirituality, which functions in communication as well as understanding. Then Bjorn led us to a stop on the perimeter of the resonating bell, and he pointed to a gold metal ring on the floor. This circle is centered on the resonance clock and has the function of suppressing the resonance clock. Anything outside the circle is unaffected, etc. Do not enter this area with more than 2 people at a time. What happens if the number is exceeded? And it won't have any serious impact. It's like having multiple people talking to you at the same time and your mind will be too busy. During the Great Hunt, we are dividing into groups of 2. The hunters who hunt, and the rangers who locate the prey. This is a tradition from the olden days. The transmission of information between the hunters and the rangers relies on this artifact. Once 2 people enter the circle, the resonance clock will start to adjust the frequency for both of them. If there is a resonance, they can communicate directly in their heads. Cool. Amor appeared enthusiastic, and even Chris perked up. However, the frequency varies among different individuals, so not everyone can resonate. In history, there was only one person who could resonate with everyone, and that's a very rare case. Therefore, if resonance doesn't happen, there's no need to be too disappointed. There will always be a way. Generally speaking, the conditions for 2 people to resonate are related to their race and life background. After all, the more similar their natures, the more likely they are to have similar thought patterns. Resonance between twin brothers is the easiest, but we don't accept such combinations, as our purpose is to promote communication between races. However, because it's been extremely difficult to match resonance pairs, there have been some relaxations in recent years. Even so, there have been tragic cases where residence couldn't occur due to extremely poor brotherly relationships. Bjorn shakes his head dramatically. But relationships can be cultivated later. For example, I'm the only brown elf in the fraternity, and I have a 3.2% success rate in matching with others. 3.2%? We looked at Bjorn in shock. So low? That's pretty high, isn't it? 3.2 out of every 100 people resonate with me. I'm simply loved by everyone, right? I'm dumbfounded. Wait, Ostrom's match rate is 100%. Why is there such a big difference in values? Bjorn rubbed his hands together awkwardly. It's happened again, hasn't it? Everyone's been fooled by Ostrom's myth again. This issue has come up for the 20th, or is it the 21st time this year? Please don't resign from the association because of this. I want you to make an exception for Ostrom, okay? His values can't be explained scientifically. On average, and I mean average after excluding Ostrom, the match rate falls around 0.8%. If you can take into account weak resonance, it's only about 5% at best. Weak resonance has no real-world significance, but at least it's something that can be cultivated. How can we increase resonance strength and matching rate? By improving mutual feelings, socializing, having heart-to-heart conversations, bonding, or making love? We looked at Bjorn like he was a freak. Don't look at me like that. There are still a lot of unknowns about the resonance mechanism, but what is certain is that the deeper the emotional foundation of the two parties, the more they are able to resonate. But intimacy alone isn't enough. There also needs to be understanding. We made countless attempts at the resonance clock over the past 100 years, but so far we haven't been able to get a clear grasp of it. And I can't say that what we do will be more effective. Do Ostrom's 100% matching rate mean they sleep with everyone? That's a very rude thing to say. Bjorn's kindly face sank as he heard Chris's disrespectful criticism of Ostrom. Just because Ostrom vouched for you and allowed you to skip the 2 weeks of scrutiny and go straight into the Brotherhood doesn't mean you have any special privileges. I don't know why Ostrom treats you out of staters with such courtesy, but please don't give the boss any trouble. More than half the men in the fraternity look up to Ostrom and have been helped by him in many ways. It would be unwise to vilify him behind his back, so please keep that in mind. Boss Ostrom's private life has nothing to do with his exact match ability. Let's just assume it's some kind of talent for now. He's descended from 2 honorable families. It's not surprising that he has any special abilities. You know? Bjorn looked at us, and after making sure his words had gotten through, resumed smiling. Anyway, don't worry too much about the match rate. As long as you find the partner that resonates with you, even if it's the only one, it's fine. Just use the match rate as a reference. So, who goes first? This sounds like some kind of friendship test. While it's true that friends with good relationships are more likely to resonate, if they can't resonate, won't it make both parties question their feelings? Lucas's warning once again proves to be correct. Joining the Wild Hunt fraternity is really too bad. Lance Swords Chris. Yeah, give me some of that. Give me some of that, dog. Canine boy. Hess, we go first? I can only nod. After all, Chris and I have known each other for the longest, so the chances of empathy should be the highest. But in my heart of hearts, I was apprehensive. We're close, but I don't think Since high school, he's been closed off and secretive, and although I have a vague idea of what's going on with him, I respect him too much to ask. I'm afraid it would be a big blow to Chris if we couldn't connect, but it had to be done. Chris put his hand behind my shoulder and gently pushed me into the brass circle. As soon as I entered the ring, the sound from the outside became distant, as if I was underwater, or as if I was wearing a helmet on the outside of my helmet. I looked over at Chris and could see the shape of his mouth opening to say something. Alright, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank you all for all I do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silver, and thank you going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks to our 2 gold tier patrons, Zeke and Toby. Y'all are awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to Ultimate Tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our Not Safe for Work contents as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!